Good morning, y'all. I'm Wise Man from the Dark Sun Overvalue Network, and today we're going to talk about, do I want to be a whatnot reseller? Or do I want to run a whatnot show? There's a couple aspects of being a whatnot dealer that you don't encounter with any of the other sales platforms. For us, it works really good. Well, I should say for me, it works really well because I'm boisterous. I tell some decent jokes. I can keep people entertained, and I treat people so well, which is very important in this business. Now, if you're not the outgoing type, all right, you don't want to be out there on the show telling jokes, having people critique the hair in your nose and all these other things. You don't have to be. You don't have to be good on camera. You don't even have to want to be on camera. I know plenty of streams that put up AI cards of a beautiful woman per se, or a masculine gent, and then all you see is hands. So it's all good. You don't have to show your face. You don't have to show anything. You don't even really have to show your hands. You can hook it up with Product Cam where all they see is a glove, All right, so I guess if you're gonna get started in whatnot, there's going to be a place you're going to need to start, and it's all going to depend on what you want to be. Now, if you want to be the buck and go retailer that gives everybody a good time and an equal opportunity to spend whatever cash they have on your products and your stream, that's the way you go. But you got to build up for that. When you're new, you can expect to take a hit on whatever the MSRP or whatever the real going rate is on the product, because you just simply will not have enough people to compete for that one more dollar. Each one of those people in there is a person that's trying to probably get the best deal that they can. I know you've all encountered streams where it seems like everybody in the stream is contributing to this stream success. I don't know what that is. I have my core supporters, and they buy products. I go to other streams, and their core supporters buy giveaways. I'm not really 100% sure how that works, but there are a billion different personality types, at least, on this planet. So, and I'm just being generous because there's like 7 billion of us, I think. There might be 7 billion different ways of doing things. That doesn't appeal to me. What I want to do is I want to engage in trade and the things that I like to have around so that I can make some money off my, basically what became my Zompocalypse preparedness. So what is the Zompocalypse? Well, for me, the Zompocalypse is any event in which the worst of humanity would be exposed to us. And what I mean by that is, if you get invaded, you can generally assume that your government is on your side and that your government wouldn't do anything to you intentionally because they need you to help fend off the invasion. But if you think about some of the times in history where the government has not necessarily been very friendly, then you got to wonder, how would the government act in certain situations? And for me, it was a zombie outbreak. That's the worst case scenario. A zombie outbreak happens. You can expect the worst in humanity to occur. We will do all kinds of things to each other and to the zombies. So if you're preparing for something like that level, any of the lesser ordeals would be trivial. Any of the real reality-based things. All right, so what do you want to do on Whatnot? Do you want to have a social aspect of it? Do you want to just make millions? And are you just trying to clear out some stuff? Or maybe get some funding for some new stuff? If you're the occasional Whatnot seller, it's really better for you because you're not fighting towards a goal. You're not trying to keep your premier status so you can get that little bit of a discount on your fees. You're not trying to keep those angel wings. You need $16,000 a month basically to get those angel wings. So premier status is a big deal, but you got to move a lot of product. And they're not accurate in delving it out. For instance, this is February of 2026. I was denied premier status for this month because it said I did not reach the amount of sales I needed. But when I looked at it, I had $52,000 in sales in the 3 months. So I made more than the 50 I needed. So I don't know if Whatnot's just not equitable, or if they target people, or if it's a clerical misunderstanding or a clerical error in the computer program. I don't know, but I definitely lost mine, and I had $52,000 worth of sales according to their analytics. So I've stopped chasing premier status because it's really unobtainable at my level by myself. I can only get a couple shows out now a week. Now, prior to this, I used to have a partner, and we split all the duties of this business between us. And during that period, we did really well. Last year we did, I think, 209,000 was the last number I saw. No, I haven't done my taxes yet. 209,000 was the last number I saw in our Whatnot sales, and that's just on one platform. We also do wholesale. We also do eBay. We did do a few gun shows. We do some flea markets occasionally, and we have people that come to the shop. So Whatnot for us, we've doubled every year. The first year, I don't remember how much it was. I think it was a little under 40,000. And then the second year on Whatnot, we did 94,000. And then last year we did 209 on Whatnot. So I am speaking from experience, and we have a process. And that process helps us to maintain a 5.0 rating and a less than 1 day average shipping time. I'm a very niche seller. I sell military surplus primarily, and then I sell like things that you would use to go bushcrafting, or survivalists might purchase, preppers, religious people because of the writings at the end of times. So, I sell a lot of stuff to a very niche group. I think if I were to branch out, I could probably do a little more and move more units, but I don't need anything in my shop that's not useful to me in some way. So, as a beginner, you need to look around at your stuff and say, what can I do? What do I want to do? And how much capital can I generate up front? Now, if you've got 10 grand, hit me up on a private, and we'll talk about the best way to get started with about 10 grand. And if you've got 50 grand and you want to get started, shoot, I'll help you. I'll show you how to do it. I understand how it works. I just am not in that niche where I can do that. So like electronics is one of those places. Knives and hunting, especially knives, is one of those places. Jewelry is one of those places. There's a lot of places on Whatnot where you can get in at a reasonable rate, and you're going to lose your tail in the beginning, but after that first 1,000 sales, you should have some followers by then. So step one is look around, see what you got, and what do you want to do. The rest of this episode's basically going to be about the beginner seller that either likes buying or has already been involved in buying, and it has a house full of stuff, so to speak. Basically, you just need to get listed. You need to contact Whatnot. You need to see about getting a seller account. Now, if you DM me, I can give you a link that would get us both $100 if you do a sale within your first 7 days. All right, that's the key. First 7 days. So I would say you need to be ready when you make that commitment to Whatnot. Now, if you're coming from eBay to Whatnot, Whatnot's not going to be very difficult. You do have to learn a new Seller Hub interface, and you do have to learn where all the things are in the listing, but there's a lot less stuff in a Whatnot listing than there is in an eBay listing. If you're selling in outdoor gear or knives and hunting, you only have to put the condition. You don't need the size, manufacturer, all that stuff. You get into clothing, it gets a little different. But if you stay in one of the other categories that doesn't have all those drop downs, it is a really quick process. You can generally load an item on Whatnot probably in about, I would say a beginner, 10 minutes if you have to look it up, 5 minutes if you don't have to look it up, and 3 minutes if you've got a scanner and the item's new in box with a barcode. Probably less than that. When we process new inventory coming in, we can sit down and process, 50 items probably in less than 2 hours. And that's usually with questions. If I'm doing it, it can go faster because I have the information in my head. Back when Big Man was here, it probably went even faster because he did it so often. So get your account registered. When you talk to them, if you're not going to make the 7 days, tell them you don't want to be made active until X amount of time so that you can go live in that 7 days. And then start loading your shop. I would recommend the first couple times you do a 15 to 20 item show. Don't shoot for a time, shoot for items. And the reason why I'm saying don't shoot for time, shoot for items, is because as we get better with the amount of talking we do or the amount of talking we don't have to do with our items, our times are going to change. So if I were to say get up there and list 15 to 20 items, sell a 15 to 20 item show and get it done in 1 hour, then it either creates a false sense of urgency because an item you may feel needs more than 3 minutes of discussion, or it creates a drawn out process for an item that did not necessarily need 3 minutes of discussion. So if you are in jewelry and today you are selling all, I don't know what the appropriate term for costume jewelry is, but you're selling all this fashion jewelry that's not necessarily gold, silver, platinum, diamonds, things like that. It's not going to take you very long. You don't need to vet a accoutrement to an outfit. You need to vet and you need to talk about a high-end item. You need to talk about why it's that money, why it's worth that, what the features are on that. So, you get a good item with a lot of complexity, you're going to have a lot of talking. You get a simple item, you don't need to do a lot of talking. All right, pricing and purchasing. A lot of y'all will ask about pricing and purchasing, but what you don't understand is pricing and purchasing is particular to your situation. I used to listen to a lot of Daily Refinement, Chris at Daily Refinement back in my eBay days, and everything he says is pretty much true. The only thing I did not find to be true is that you should buy for 8 and sell for 30. I could not find a way in what I do to buy for 8 and sell for 30 because the spread on what I do is a little different. Small things, are usually $2 to $6 in sale price, whereas big things in my business are like $50 and more. All right. So as you progress down a prepper's journey, you find that the items that you have to get are starting to cost more and more and more. And that's because in the beginning, you will assign the budget by necessity. So once you have guns, once you have bullets for the guns, then you need medical, right? Then you need food. And once you've gotten a stockpile of food, you've pretty much made yourself stationary. And once you've made yourself stationary, the cost of goods go up because the size of the goods you need to defend and run a big facility protecting a lot of stuff, that stuff's a little more expensive. You need more people, you need more blankets, you need more beds, you need more food, you need more water, you need more storage capacity, you need more observation posts, you need more guard tower. Like, it just keeps going on as you grow. So a lot of things aren't like that. If you're going to get into jewelry and you go to like factory price jewelry and you start buying from them, you can probably get 2, 3, 4 times your markup or your purchase cost in markup, because jewelry does traditionally have that kind of a spread in it. Military surplus, man, by the time you call out all the bad ones, things you thought you paid $1 for, you end up paying, $1.85 or $2.85. And sometimes with pouches, you might have only paid 25 cents. But when you get down to the bottom of the pallet and they're all bad, by the time you're done, you've thrown away so many that it's $1 per item, on pouches. Then you get into bigger backpacks and you might order a tri-wall. Let's say you get them at $40 a piece. But then after you call them out, you've lost 10-20%, and now you're up at $44 or $48 a piece in cost. That raises that final cost up. So purchasing and pricing is different to everybody. I will tell you that for under $20, I just assume that 12% of my money is going to disappear. Anything under $20, I just assume Whatnot's getting 12%. And that's because if you average up through the $1 through $9 range against the $10 through $20 range, it gives me a fair assessment of what I made and what I didn't make. Because every item gets a package. If it's a $3 or $4 item, it probably didn't weigh a pound. If it didn't weigh a pound, I got to provide a shipping container for that to go in, whether it be a bag or a box, and those cost money. Polys only cost like 5 to 8 cents maybe, and then boxes are like $1.50. All right. So if you get into the 12 by 12 by 12 boxes, you got to provide those. Post office don't make that size. Those things are $1.50 a piece. Right now, I recommend Grainger. Grainger is the best place, and if you have storage capacity for shipping materials and you're going to bust out 100 items a week, you need to go ahead and get them ahead of time. And take advantage of United States Postal Service priority mailers. The priority mailers are one of the best deals going. The customer pays a little bit more in shipping, and if you're offering free shipping, you're going to pay a little bit more. But the cost of the box, it's $1.50 for a 12 by 12 by 12. It's $1.25 for a 12 by 12 by 8. That's after delivering all that. So if it costs you $1.25 for a 12 by 12 by 8, and the Postal Service provides a 12 by 12 by 8.5. See where I'm going with that? Why pay when the customer's going to pay the shipping? You can do free shipping if it's in your matrix. If your stuff doesn't cost much and you want to start it at $1 and you want to pay shipping, that would be a great way to get your 1,000 items over with. But it's not necessarily, for me anyway, it would not be a long-term business model. Once you've decided what you're listing and you're putting it on there, you got to make a decision on the pricing. And the pricing, if you've got stuff that you've owned forever and you don't have anything in it, I would recommend the Buck and Go thing. It will drive up some excitement, and it will help you generate some revenue. But if you have decent money in any of those things, or they're high dollar things, you need to run it at cost of what you want to sell it at. You can give dangles. A dangle is a flash sale. Those didn't exist when I invented the term. So, you can throw out flash sales to try to get items to move. But I will tell you this. If you have just a little bit of a following and you want to sell 100 items, if you put 100 items at $1 start on auction and you just start going, then you're going to sell 100 items, generally. Sometimes people will pass, but if it's a category that's bumping, you'll probably sell that 100. Now, will you make a lot of money on it? No, probably not. Not in the beginning. If I do buck and goes, it's because I need space, or I've got stuff that's been laying around and I just got to clear it out. That's my theories on that. Everybody has a different way of doing business. Some people will take losses on things over here to make money on things over there. Because in theory, it is one big pile. When the IRS looks at it at the end of the year, it's one big pile of money. You had money coming in, you had money going out. They subtract the money going out from the money coming in generally, and that's how much you're going to pay your taxes on. So a lot of people look at it like that. Personally, I don't do the buck and goes unless I really need to move a bunch of stuff or I have to drive up some kind of excitement. Like we used to get in lulls. Big Man would sometimes get a little down and the speed of the shows would slow down, the income would slow down. So I would have to come in and sell with him, and we would do dollar goes to generate some more excitement and to get people back into knowing us. That's what's important. They need to know you. They need to know what you do. They need to know how you do it, and they need to trust you. The only way to build trust is to do what you say, even if it costs you some money sometimes. It's happened to us several times. We call it honoring the deal. We have had a mistake here recently when Whatnot was having a lot of back-end problems. Everything was slow for like 2.5 weeks. And I actually had one that ran an auction for $3, but we weren't even discussing auctions. We were discussing a buy it now on a $79 item that I was trying to load. And between the clicks responding and not responding, somehow I launched a $3 auction. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on right now. So I actually had to have a cancel for that. It took me a while to figure it out. I've never done a cancel before. So it was like, that was ridiculous. So sometimes there is going to be some back-end problems. Do what you can on your end to mitigate them, and then learn how to explain what's going on to your customers. Sorry, we're getting into the show set now, and I really wanted to do the pre-show, the getting ready for the show, the making that first decision. Once you've made your first decision and you know what you want to do, you need to set some SMART goals. SMART goals stand for, and I'm going to give you a second to switch to your notes or to get a pen and a piece of paper. I'll also put them in the comments once this hits YouTube. All right, SMART is specific. Your goal needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. And when I say measurable, what I'm saying is you need to say, all right, at 1 week, I need to look at the data that I can get on this goal and find out if I met the goal. Now, when you're setting this goal, it needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. You can quantify whether you did it or not. And it needs to be achievable. If you set an unrealistic goal, one that no human, superhuman, or demigod could ever meet, you're not going to achieve it. And while falling short of a goal may motivate you, that's particular to you. Most people's psychology would say that when the goal is achieved, that's when the satisfaction, the dopamine or whatever, hit you because you accomplished the goal. So if you're more one that likes to constantly be falling short to make you work harder, that's on you. I don't know. But SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, and the R stands for relevant. Is it relevant? Is the goal that you're setting right now that you will measure to see if you achieved it, will it be relevant to the overall purpose of why you've set this goal? Then the last one is time bound. When you set your goal, you need to say, in X amount of days, I'm going to check the data and I'm going to measure my goal. So, recently, I've set a goal. Now, I am rather slow in my sales progress. I enjoy talking to my customers. I enjoy relating stories. I enjoy telling jokes. There's a lot of things I do in my stream that are not necessarily profitable. Some people say that I am the best show they've ever found on Whatnot because it's a show, not because of the products that I'm selling. So I guess at some point I could probably make a YouTube transition, but right now I've got all this stuff that I've been stocking up for the Zompocalypse, so this seems like a natural way to keep a rotation going and everything's fresh. But maybe one day we'll get into theater. But the show portion, when you come to my show, it is a show. You don't generally get bored unless it's all the same jokes that I told yesterday. And I do have people that I see so often that their names are always on bins around here where I put the stuff after they sell. And you'll get to that point. People will like you for you. People that like me generally like me. People that don't like me generally don't come back around. With that being said, I have like 18,000 followers, I think. 14,000 followers? I don't know. And I can't tell you how many thousands of sales I've had. A lot more than I got followers, I can tell you that. We did 209 last year, so that's pretty big. Now, this year, I expect that to cut down by half because I'm by myself. But if I can find me a salesperson, I'd be gunning for it. And then next year, I would expect to double again. Only because our purchasing power has gotten better over time. If you don't make any money in this, then reevaluate why you're doing it, all right? Because within the first 30, 45 days, you should actually be making some profit. And if you try real hard, you might even be able to knock down that 1,000 sales, assuming you have 1,000 items. All right, so for beginners, making the initial decision, this is very important time for y'all. If you've never done eBay even, then you're at a disadvantage because you're going to go in and learn a listing system fresh. Generally, once you've had a couple electronic sales platforms under your belt, you get really good at knowing what's relevant, what's not relevant. But in Whatnot, there's so few things, it doesn't take very long to list an item. And if you invest in a scan gun, if you're going to do this a long time and you're going to sell retail products that have a UPC code on them, invest in a scan gun. It will speed things up a metric poop ton, if you're familiar with that measurement. You do not need a bunch of fancy equipment. You can run this with just a phone. Personally, I prefer a computer and a phone, no matter where I'm at. When I'm at the shop, I use a computer as my hard point to access, and I use an iPhone that I'm actually broadcasting from. When I'm here in Studio D, which is in my wife's basement, I use my laptop cam, and I use an HD Pro Cam. I use the HD Pro Cam as a product-only view normally. And the laptop catches my face because my face isn't as important as what's going on the product. eventually I'll upgrade to a camera as I make the YouTube transition, and we'll get a real video camera mounted up there behind the computer. All right, you do not need OBS either. You do not need all that fancy stuff. A cell phone will get you started. All right, I'm Wise Man. I'm with the Dark Sun Overvalue Network on Whatnot. You can find us mostly in tactical gear, outdoor gear, and occasionally in knives. And then when I have MREs, you can catch me in food and beverage. Every Sunday night at either 7 or 7:30, I do a roundtable talk for anybody that is a knight or above in my rewards program. And knight in the Whatnot rewards program is actually the gold level badge, but we can rename them. So since you're joining a cult when you come to my stream, we figured we'd make it like a cult. All right, I'm Wise Man. Remember, be good to each other, y'all. This process of life on this earth, it's an amazing thing. And you are going to get out of it what you put into it. There's still a few things I haven't done on this plane that I would like to get done. And then there's still a couple of jobs I would like to try to do. Not necessarily as a source of employment, but because they are things I would have liked to have been able to look back on when I'm old and I can't walk and say, back when I could walk, I used to do this. Or when I was in my 50s, I did that. So enjoy this experience. God loves us all, even the people you don't like, even you when you're screwing up. So, and even you out there that hasn't met him yet. Live your American dream. Whatnot's a great place to do it. All right, I'm going to let y'all go. I'm going to let y'all go. You take care. Have a good one.